This is Ashley Hodge with a Sikkim 365 postgame podcast coming to you after Baylor's 61-54 loss to Oklahoma State in the Farrell Center. I'm joined by Judge Ed Kincaid. He's also our landlord. In exchange for doing this, he's agreed to 3 or 4 months of free rent. Was that the agreement?
That was not the agreement.
Man, what a downer. All right, so we got to talk about the game. We don't really want to talk about the game, but Oklahoma State was coming off their third road game in 5 days, and it showed down the stretch. Their legs were kind of gone. You know, Baylor made a big run, but boy, Baylor just put up a pitiful first half performance. Obviously, there's reasons. James Akinjo's injured. He's got a back issue, and he played like it. I mean, he was not himself. And so you didn't have your floor general out there. You still don't have Jeremy Sohan. But even with that, you did not get good performance from other guys that you expected, like Adam Flagler, Matt Meyer. LJ Cryer played great in the second half, not as well in the first half. But disappointing loss, 61-54. Baylor got it to within one. Really thought we were going to come back and win this game on your home court, but made some bad plays down the stretch, and that was the difference. Oklahoma State made the free throws. What are your thoughts, Ed?
Well, I think we're struggling with teams that are long and lean. Our guards are all short, and our guards going to have to be able to make some shots on their own, make their own shots. And we had that last year. It's unusual that you will have more than one player on a team that can be able to do that. And they can some, but I think teams have figured out if you put these really tall, quick fellas on our guards, we have a hard time. They chase us off the three-point line, and then somehow we're not able to get around them quickly enough.
Yeah.
So we're kind of suffering as if we are from our own type of tough defense. Other teams are playing that kind of defense against us.
Yeah, I agree. It's been an issue, and Oklahoma State is really a poor man's version of Texas Tech.
Yeah.
They play good defense. They showed that today. They're challenged offensively, and at times you can see that down the stretch, but they made the plays when they needed to, and they got off to a big lead. You can't let a team like that gain confidence on your home court, and Baylor did. And for that reason, the Bears are now 15-2, and they are 3-2 in conference. And they may look back on this game and say this is what lost them the Big 12 title race.
Well, I hope not. I hope they can, so one of the things I saw tonight is there was not a lot of driving to the hole and then dishing back out successfully. We had the ball stolen at least 2 or 3 times on attempts to do that. And teams know you're going to try to do that. And then the second thing, we didn't have a lot of just wide open 3-point shots. I don't know if we're not setting the screens as well. I don't know if we're not coming off the screens as well. But we're going to have to shoot better. We played as if we were a little bit afraid that we were going to miss the shot. You can't do that. Shooters, and you saw it in the second half. We're shooting much better.
Yeah.
But you just can't let a team get up on you with that many points. Because this little team, you're going to get everybody's best shot.
Yeah,
because everybody wants to beat Baylor, and I don't blame them. And we just have to come out with more fire. You just can't come out with what we had without the floor general. I would put, if I were running it, I'd put Cryer at the point and let Bonner play a little more. I think Bonner's a better player, and we need to give him some time.
He's great on defense. Yeah, he played really well on defense. Armstrong, any calls in the hopper yet? All right, the number is 254-339-1122. Let's hear from you. This is a post-game call-in show, and it's going to be a very short show if we don't have calls. Let me see if I have any texts that are chiming in. All right, this is from someone, Scotty B. Tough loss tonight. Our effort needs to get better going forward. We missed a lot of shots that were good looks, while at other times it was like, what in the world are we doing? Defensively, we must improve, and fast. We need to get healthy as soon as possible. Yeah, I think this team misses Sohan a lot.
Yeah,
Sohan is a lot more valuable than maybe we realize. He really you can't argue with the results. They're 0-2 without him. And, they played really well when he was in the lineup. Obviously they won the TCU game. He didn't play much in that game. But, But yeah, he's a key guy. We got a call?
No, but we got people on the YouTube chat.
Okay.
Cody says Drew needs to pull a Herb Brooks. They don't want to work during the game. They can work after.
Yeah. Something to be said for that. And I did talk to Scott briefly yesterday, and he was really encouraged by the practices coming into this game. So I'm sure he's like, what in the world just happened? Because if you get a loss, you have good practices coming into the game, and then you put that kind of first half up. You know, the last half against Tech and the first half against Oklahoma State were just terrible. Let's see, the Bears outscored. Were they down? Were they only down 11 at half? I think. Is that right?
12.
12. Okay.
Down 12.
So they outscored Oklahoma State by 5. But really, it was a 55-54 game. The Bears turned it over 3 times down the stretch. Kendall Brown gets stripped on a play where he just he wasn't ball strong, acted like he was unaware that there was going to be defenders around him, like he had all time in the world to make a decision. And then Adam Flagler inexplicably just, throws the ball away on a drive, and then just like a weak pass to the corner that gets picked off easily. So Adam struggled. That was a terrible game for Adam. Worst I've ever seen him play in a Baylor uniform. Cryer was pretty good. I liked Jonathan Chamlachachua's competitiveness, ended up with 8 rebounds on the day, and I thought we got some good minutes from Matt Meyer, particularly in the second half. He played well, but the rest of the guys, not their best days. Del Bonner on defense, I think we need to mention him as well.
Yeah, and what were we on free throws tonight?
We ended up 10 for 14.
But we missed down toward the end.
Dale missed the front end of a one-and-one.
That would cost us and was a killer.
Yep.
And you just can't. You've got to be calm enough. You've got to give him enough playing time. They'll feel good about it. Flagler's almost always really good on free throws. I don't know what he was tonight, but
2 for 2.
But some of our other players just don't seem to be able to be consistent on free throws.
Right.
And I guess we gave them 10, 15 points on fast breaks.
Yeah. Throw the ball away and dunks on the other end.
And that's not Baylor basketball. Yeah. We've got to play way better defense than that. We're allowing them to drive in the middle the way that we want to drive, but we're not stopping them like we should.
Yeah, Bryce Thompson, he had 19 points. He was the only one double figures for them. LJ Cryer, 18, and Matthew Myers, 16 for the Bears. Not a good performance. So are any calls in the hopper yet, Armstrong? 254-339-1122. Baylor fans are in depression. They're not calling into the postgame call-in show. What do you think about the documentary? Let's talk about something positive. You went to the premiere last night.
I thought it was very good. It was well attended. It reminded me of going to Waco Hall at the when I was there many years ago before any of y'all were born. We would have movies every week, and we would call it the Dr. Pepper Hour or whatever, but they were usually campy movies, nothing like this, something with a Dracula in it. And it was so good to come and see Baylor in a good light, showed us we were honest about the struggle we went through, and then it coming out on the other side. But the thing that I like is we're not shy about our Christian witness.
Yeah.
And I really applaud Ashley and Chris for putting this movie on. And we just got to remember that's really much as I hate to lose ball games, it's the more important thing that Scott's done is these young men that he's built. Now, we do need to win too.
There's going to be some character building opportunities after this game for sure. But yeah, I appreciate you coming. Now, so Gatewood and Bowman, they were your teammates.
So let's talk a little bit about playing at the Heart of Texas.
Yeah. You got some stories.
So when I started, I played freshman ball here. Carol Dawson was the freshman coach, and he gave me some warm-ups that kind of looked like fuzzy chaps or something, and they were bright yellow. And I said, Coach, this must have been Gatewood's. He said, I think they were. And I'm 5'10", he's 6'8", and he said, have your mom work them out for your length, but don't cut them off because we're going to use them next year too. So that's the way it started off. And I remember as we never practiced at the Heart of Texas, But when we'd go in for games, you could smell hay and cow manure if it was early in the season because they just had a rodeo, and sometimes they wouldn't get the stuff completely off the floor. It was the floor. The first year that I played was something called tartan, which was about an inch thick rubber. Strange. It was a strange sort of thing. We knew the dark places. We always teased that it was so dark. We came in to the game one time as freshmen and had little helmets on with little flashlights taped on them like we were miners because it was so dark in there.
Yeah.
And the seats were up. You could still see them behind Tommy and Gatewood were up high. It was like you're in the Roman Coliseum.
Right.
And there was nobody very close. But and all the other teams hated coming there. It was just awful. The locker rooms consisted of one hook. That was what you had put your clothes on, one hook. And there was one light, one bulb in the middle of the room. You know, I thought, did this used to be used as an interrogation room or something? Because it was an interesting place to play. It really was.
That is funny. I loved the part of the documentary where they talked about funneling people to the dead spots in the floor and knowing that if that ball hits a dead spot, they can swipe it and steal it and go the other direction. That was hilarious. All right. Any call? No calls still, right, Armstrong?
Yeah, it's still no calls, but we got some chat.
All right. Let's hear some chat.
Biscuits and Gravy says Kendall needs to get a fire lit under him.
Yep.
And Dale stepped up tonight.
Yeah. I mean, Dale did some good things on defense.
I thought he did too.
Michael says, do you drop Baylor to 8 or 9 in next week's poll and move them to a 2 seed now?
Yeah, I think you got it. Well, 2 seed, I guess. I mean, I have to look at Ken Palm still has them number 2, and Kentucky's all the way up to number 4. So Purdue still has 2 losses, but Kentucky's 3 losses, Houston's 2 losses, Gonzaga's 2 losses. So most of the top teams have 2 losses. I think Auburn has a case for being number 1. Arizona will be up there, only 1 loss. Duke has 2 losses as well. But again, the Big 12 is a murderer's row. I mean, there's no really bad losses in the Big 12, but you certainly want to win your home game against the bottom level teams. And right now, Oklahoma State is a bottom level team. Texas Tech lost their game, coming off 3 straight games, and Kansas State was able to beat them, by a wide margin. Iowa State beat Texas, pulled away at the end. What were the other? Kansas crushed West Virginia. That's next up for Baylor. They got to go to West Virginia at a really weird time, 4 p.m. Central, so 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday is when they play them. So that's an early game for them as far as, we complain about 6 p.m. tip-offs, but 5 p.m. is pretty early because a lot of their alumni are coming from D.C. and Pittsburgh, so that may be a challenge for them to get a big crowd. But the way Baylor's playing these last 2 games, I'm sure they're feeling, like they're going to get a win, and Baylor's not going to give them much of a game. But we'll see. Hopefully, we can get a Kenjo back. It'd be nice to get Jeremy Sohan back as well.
Well, the weather's going to be terrible there. I was watching on Tuesday. Oh, yeah.
They got a storm coming?
A storm coming, really bad one, and it'll be interesting to see. You think it's cold here today. It's going to be really bad there.
Yep.
I'm just hoping that that our boys understand how hard it is to play in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Bob Huggins is a great coach and always gets his team up, and this is a better team than I think he had last year.
Yeah.
And so, we've got to get our sense of who we are and playing together. And when one's down, everybody's got to step up. And we forget that we've got a lot of new players in key roles, and we're playing really good teams. The Big 12's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, perspective-wise, Texas Tech is number 3 in defensive efficiency. Oklahoma State's number 8 in defensive efficiency. So they have a lot to do with why the offense is struggling so much. West Virginia is right now number 20, so they're not like easy to score on either. But and they play a similar style, physical. They're going to attack you on the perimeter. Kansas State will as well. I mean, all those teams just play so physical on the perimeter. But I mean, hopefully Baylor's got some counters and can work on some things. It's short turnaround, but they should be plenty motivated because losing 2 in a row has got to feel bad, and hopefully we can see a much more spirited, competitive effort from the get-go. That's the thing I'm upset about the most is just the lack of competitive fire.
Me too, and I would say in the first half, unlike the second half, we did it in the second half. When you're not making shots, then you've got to do something to get to the free throw line. And we did that in the second half. We should have done that in the first half.
Right.
I'm not hitting, so I'm going to drive and force these guys to foul me, or I'm going to get a layup. And we're talented enough to force these guys to foul us. And that's one of the things I think that we in the first half we just didn't do it. We kept running around on the outside. And I wanted to mention one key play I thought was the play where Brown was fighting for the ball at midcourt, and that we wound up not getting that one. That was one where, and I'm seeing this a lot in the rebounding. We get our hands on the ball, but we don't come down with it, and we've got to do a better job of getting our hands on the ball and winning those kinds of struggles.
Right. We got a little bit of excitement at the front door here. It looks like the wind kind of opened the door. Thanks, Armstrong, for taking care of that. Yeah, that play you're talking about, I also noticed that whoever recovered the ball for Oklahoma State clearly traveled. Did you see that? He shuffled his feet. I mean, I know a lot of stuff gets missed, but that would have been a key.
But that was, I thought, one of the key plays. If we'd gotten that was before we got it to the one where Flagler took it down there. We could have gone down there and scored, but we've got to be fighting more than we ever have for all those kinds of balls, and everybody's got to be aware, on their toes. And it's we lost 3 of the greatest players Baylor's ever had, and so to make up for that, you just got to have extra hustle. And that was we got a call, so I'll table this comment until after this call. Armstrong, who we got?
We have Chris.
Hey, Chris, welcome to the post-game call-in show.
Or Diane, actually. Looks like.
Diane, okay.
Hi, this is Diane.
Hey, Diane.
But I'm with Chris. He's sitting next to me. We're on our way home from the game. What a disappointment. Unfortunately, it was Chris's birthday tonight.
Oh,
and,
happy birthday, Chris. What a great present.
I mean, all day, actually.
Right.
But unfortunately, we're going to have to re-celebrate going to the documentary last night since we were not able to celebrate coming home from a win tonight.
Yeah.
But there's next week, and it's still early. We're looking for that team to gel still. We were talking about it as we were leaving the stadium that Brown looked really good early in the season, but we didn't really have any tough competition for him to go up against, and he looks a little worse for the wear against some of our stronger competition. Hoping that he can gel and step in. I understand he's a true freshman and all, but it would be sure would be nice to see him play like we saw him play against some lesser opponents earlier this season. Anyway, thanks for the post review tonight. Enjoy listening to it and enjoy your weekend.
Hey, thanks, Diane. No, I agree with you. I mean, I think Kendall Brown is a freshman, and he started out. He made a couple aggressive moves early in the game, if I remember, at least one move, and I think he scored a bucket. But then he tended to disappear quite a bit, and when I look at him, it just reminds me of Perry Jones, and I just want to see more competitive fire. You mentioned losing the 3 guards, but Mark Vidal also. When you take those 4 players, Davion Mitchell, Maceo Teague, Jared Butler, and Mark Vidal, what separated them was the competitive fire, and that was my biggest concern coming into this season. James Akinjo has it. You could tell something wasn't right with James today. I mean, James has that competitive fire, but he did not have it tonight because his back's hurting. I get that, but yeah, I mean, I want Adam to step up in that regard. LJ, I see some glimpses of that, but I need LJ to step up bigger in that. Matt, to play like a dog, and Jonathan has it. Jonathan definitely has it. Maybe you move Jonathan to the starting lineup because Flo's perhaps not not showing that, competitiveness that you need. But that's what's missing. That's what's missing is that killer instinct, that, just that ability to go out and say, hey, we're the number one team in the nation. We're going to destroy you on our home court. Kansas has it. They're not going to lose many games at home. They've got their own issues. I mean, I think Remy Martin, they say he's injured, but it may be a situation where he wants out. So they may have all kinds of issues with point guard position. There's opportunity here, but right now, Ken Pom has Kansas winning the league at 13-5, Baylor at 12-6, and just a big muddle of teams 8-10 to 10-8 or 11-7. But Baylor doesn't start playing better, they're going to slip down to the middle of the pack pretty quick.
I agree. I want to remind us that at each level, when you go from junior high to high school to college and the elite kind of college games, you can see the difference we play those early games. And the players, it gets harder and harder. The second thing you remember about, and we've got two true freshmen, and they are elite players, no question about that. But remember, the people we lost were here for years and developed over time. Jared Butler was not a defensive star until he developed.
Yeah.
And so we need to give Scott enough time to develop these kids, and I'm confident that he will. We just are spoiled.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I want us to win all the time, and I like to remind my friends at all the other schools, especially Texas and Oklahoma that are going to that other conference, that we're the team. They're not the team, but it's just hard to win with true freshmen that aren't. It just is. It's rare. I mean, even Kentucky.
Yeah.
The one and done place. They don't win that much. Since Calipari's been there, he's won one.
Right.
He's won one.
Right. Yeah, no question about it. Anything else, Armstrong? We got any other calls?
No calls. We have from the 325 on the text line. We're playing like we're scared. We need to get back to the basics. I think not having a fast drive to the paint player like Davion is killing us. One step, and he made you pay. Hopefully they'll turn this around. I believe in Coach Scott Drew to fix the issues.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with everything that was said there. I mean, that one step, and you've got to have that. You've got to have the want to, that instinct that I've got to take that player every time, and we're playing like I would have used it. They used the word scared. That's a good one. I would have used the word tentative. I'm afraid that if I take this, somebody's going to block the shot or steal the ball.
Yeah.
You just can't be worried about that.
All right, we got some questions for Ed. First question is, which type of subpoena requires the recipient to produce documents? The second question is, who is your favorite, your son-in-law or your daughter-in-law?
Those are close questions. I love them both. Subpoena deuces ticum. And whoever's asking me those questions is going to get jury duty.
That would be Tom. Do you know a Tom Anderson? Is that name ring a bell?
I do know a Tom Anderson. That's my son-in-law.
Yeah. Yeah. Franco was supposed to call in. Franco was like, Frank Colley said he was going to call in and ask you some legal questions.
Some legal questions. That's great.
I think he's in a bad mood. All right, we got another call on the line.
We do. I believe we have Mike.
Mike, how you doing? Welcome to the
Hey, how are you doing?
Postgame call and show.
Thank you for having me. I just had a question, and then I also had a silver lining I was going to try to at least think of. First of all, with the silver lining is, we shot under 30% from the field today and still had a chance down by one with the ball to win.
Right.
So that to me is a sign just how far the program's come, because these are the games in the past you would get blown out.
Sure.
And so to me, I'm just trying to find the fact that, I don't think a Kenjo and Flagler could play any worse, and yet we still almost won the game. But then my question for you is I think that we're missing a key leader, and that last year it wasn't just having one leader, it's having three or four, right? Yep. So if Butler's struggling, Mitchell would step up and be the leader. So who do you think has the best potential to step up and kind of lead this team?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'll Ed, why don't you start with that, and I've got my answers.
I think several of them have the potential to do it. It's either of the two freshmen can do that. They have so far. Sohan's kind of showed more than Brown of that. And I think with the others, it's Cryer or Flagler are going to have to be that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, they just have one of them has to be that guy. It looked like Cryer early, then it looks like Flagler, but I think that kind of goes back and forth. The two of them play off each other. I don't know if you watched during the game, the two of them talk to each other a lot.
Yeah.
And that's good. I'm just hoping they both can be the guy.
Yeah, I think I would lean James Akinjo and Jonathan would be the two that I would hope step up with leadership. And Matt's got a, Matt. He came on in the second half. He did some really good things in the second half offensively, which was encouraging. But we need to see that on if he can put that stat line up without the two really bad turnovers and be able to shoot 6 for 13. Be able to make 30 to 40% of his threes, make some free throws, get some rebounds. I mean, I think we would all love that. I mean, I'm not down on his effort or how he played today, but leadership wise, we need that, like how he played in the NCAA tournament with his hair on fire. Constantly, just selling out defensively. We need to see Adams step up on the defensive end a lot. Especially when his offense is struggling. Kendall not getting what we got is credited with 2 steals, but nothing, led to no easy attempts. Like where he's been good in the past games is being able to anticipate, because of his quickness, a pass and be able to get a dunk on the other end. We just haven't gotten that 4 points, from him. I mean, we got to see. Yeah, it is a competitiveness crisis in my opinion, but yeah, to your point, the defense was solid. I mean, you can't have too many gripes about the defense tonight.
Well, and the way I viewed the question was behind Akinjo and Meyer. I think Akinjo and Meyer are your top two, but I think somebody else has to step up in that void when Akinjo's hurt.
Yep.
I mean, what are we going to go? Oh, we're going to lose. Yep. And Brown, earlier in the year, you'd see him take that ball and go all the way down to the hole, go all the way. He's going about 3/4.
Yep.
Something's different. I don't know what it is. I'd rather him just go the hole and either get it blocked or foul or whatever. I want him to go on.
Right.
And to be people to be afraid of him because he certainly takes long steps and can get down there quickly. So that was one of the things. He didn't do that a single time tonight.
And maybe it's just we're playing great teams defensively.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Alabama's score right now. They're losing to Mississippi State on Mississippi State's home court. But I mean, I think that we've got to figure out ways to get, obviously, to be Captain Obvious, to get the offense more efficient, get the ball in the middle, be able to do some damage in the middle of the paint, especially if defenses are extending, because there's other defenses as good as Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. Texas plays great defense. Iowa State plays great defense. Kansas and West Virginia are pretty solid. I mean, it's going to be – Kansas State plays great defense. It's going to be hard with what we're putting on tape right now to score if we don't get some good counters.
I remember in your movie it talked about when Gonzaga bought the Champaign.
Yep.
There's got to be those moments all during the year when you want to step up. When you remember when the kid at Gonzaga does this thing with his mustache, and somebody will come down today and they went like this when they made a shot, and those kind of things. That has to fire you up as a player.
Right.
And I don't mean you get in a fight with them. It just means I'm going to take this. I'm taking this the whole.
Yep.
I'm going to make this shot. I'm not going to be deterred. We don't have that fire this year against these really, really good teams. And these are good teams. Let me tell you, I think a lot of our teams should make the NCAA.
Yeah, may get 7 or 8 in.
Yeah, I think we might.
Hopefully Baylor's one of them.
Yeah.
Nights like tonight make you wonder if that's going to be the case.
No,
They will. But and from an Oklahoma State fan perspective, they had a great football year. Baylor beats them in the Big 12 championship, destroys their CFP dreams, got a little revenge tonight on Baylor's home court. And after such and this is kudos to Mike Boynton. I mean, the challenge of keeping your team motivated after they have no postseason to play for because of the NCAA penalties and they lose 2 games on the road back to back. You're playing your 3rd game in 5 days. And for him to get his team fired up to come play in Waco and to win this game, my hat's off. A lot of respect for that.
He's a good coach.
Good coach, good guy. Yeah, I'm happy for every success he has.
Except
I hate that
when he plays us.
I hate that it comes at the expense of Baylor, but I think a lot of Baylor fans do root for him. But it's West Virginia's next, and hopefully the Bears can start a winning streak, because it's been a long time since we had a losing streak, and it doesn't feel too good.
No, it doesn't.
Nothing else, right, Armstrong?
No, we got one more.
Oh, okay. Let's take this call.
We got Kyle Stevens.
Hey, Kyle, how you doing?
Hey, Ashley, how you doing?
I've been better.
I know, aren't we all?
I'll flush it after 24 hours. It's usually I usually go into depression for about 24 hours. But
well,
how are you doing?
It's heartfelt. You can imagine how the guys feel.
Yeah, I'm sure they're the same way. Yeah.
But I don't know. I got about 3 comments to make. I'd say point number 1, and everybody knows this, but every team we play is going to give us their A-plus game.
Yep.
And so it doesn't matter whether it's at home or on the road. That's what we're going to get. And secondly, I think we're seeing how significant Sohan is to this team, especially after the last 2 performances.
Yeah.
I think there's a rhythm he brings. I mean, when you look how we played against Villanova,
Yep.
and just early in the season, and then with Akinjo hurt, and then you have to get Flagler in there trying to be a point guard. He's not a point guard.
Right.
And you've played enough basketball, and certainly your guests, it's hard to put yourself in a position you're not used to playing.
Right.
And especially because every game's a big game in the Big 12. Every game's a big game.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to beat them up too much about it, except the first half. Yeah, and I agree with you. I just thought our effort was just dismal.
Yep.
And but we worked it back and really had a chance to win the game. And even as goofy as things are right now, so we can all just hang in there. And I feel for the coaches and the players, but on the other hand, that's where you just bow your neck and you get it done. And so I don't know. That's just what I'm seeing right now. And it's hard after you win the national title. It's just hard. You put a lot of extra pressure on yourself that you don't need to do. It's
Right.
still just one game at a time, period. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. I think that's Matt Meyer's issue. I think he's putting way too much pressure on himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just my point of view. So anyway, appreciate what y'all do.
Thank you. Great thoughts.
Thought those were great comments.
Yeah. Well, I guess on the good side of things, sometimes when you're playing well, crushing teams, you worry about losing your whole team to the NBA draft. I would say that some of those fears have probably we've put some bad tape on file here, and some of these players that we thought we might lose may be coming back next year. So maybe the future is brighter. But there's plenty to play for this year. I'm not saying that after 2 losses you got to throw in the towel for this year. But that is a silver lining that you can say that maybe the Adam Flaglers of the world. Even Kendall Brown, he might say, well, I'm not ready for the NBA, if I can't score against Big 12 teams and have better performances, So, I think there is some of that may be a silver lining to this.
Well, you remember that Teague and Butler coming back.
Yep.
I mean, if we hadn't had them come back, would we have had the same team? Absolutely not.
No. Yeah.
And so I just think these kids need to grow.
Yeah.
Give them some time. We need to be a little more patient than we are, and I just want them to win every game. I don't know what else. I mean, come on, that's not asking too much, is it? I want them to win every single game.
And I will say, before the season started, my opinion was Baylor and Kansas would be the two top teams. I thought that Texas Tech and Oklahoma State were going to be 3 and 4 on paper, because Oklahoma State returns a lot of players. They lost Cade Cunningham. They got Thompson, the Kansas transfer.
Uh-huh.
He was big for them tonight, but they have a lot of experience. So as you get into conference play, sometimes that experience kind of rises to the top. Scott mentioned this. There's a lot of 6-year guys, and sometimes a 6-year guy can be better than a one and done freshman, even though this guy's not been good enough to go pro. I mean, that experience is huge and that maturity. So Oklahoma State and Texas Tech do have experienced teams, and so does Kansas, and so does Texas. So there's plenty of challenges ahead, but that's a point that we need to bring out.
Okay.
All right, is that it, Armstrong? All right, that's a wrap. You've been listening to a Sikkim 365 post-game podcast. Thank you, Ed, for doing this. Appreciate you.
My pleasure.
All right, Sikkim Bears.